Okay, we're gonna do a little bit more R&D while I still have stuff out. This isn't related to the other paper project, but it is a paper project. I was just reading to my kids, my youngest boy and my oldest boy when he was younger. They love this book, the Brown Bear book, but I just noticed that it had a torn page, and there's something I've been wanting to try for years. Many years ago, I was watching a documentary on restoring old artwork, and I saw a technique that they use for repairing torn pages in like old historical manuscripts and stuff that involves essentially gluing tissue, really thin tissue, over the top of the crack to basically give it a new surface so it's not likely to pull up or catch there again. And I've always wanted to try that. Now, I don't have the special tissue that they used, so I'm just going to try it with regular old tissue paper. Now, I do have the PVA glue, pH neutral PVA glue, which is it's essentially wood glue, like regular old wood glue, mind you, which is also PVA glue. This is pH neutral, so it won't yellow the pages and stuff over time. Not that it matters really for this like children's book. It's not probably going to last that long anyway in the hands of kids. I'm surprised this lasted this long, to be perfectly honest. But since I have this, I am going to use it. But if I didn't have this, I would just use wood glue. So first we're going to glue the actual tear here, and then we're going to try to resurface the front and back with regular old tissue paper. And I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work or not, because I'm not sure if the tissue paper will be thin enough to basically become clear once the glue dries in it. But we'll find out. Now this was a good tear in that it delaminated the sheets, so they tore kind of like this as opposed to like this. So I have a lot of glue surface in between here. If I didn't have that, obviously I would just have to do the surface route. And I'm not entirely sure what the best technique for this is. I'm going to rip a little strip. And this is literally just plain white tissue paper that you would use for wrapping paper, wrapping presents like at Christmas and stuff. So what I think is probably going to be the best solution here is I'm going to dab some glue on, hold it down, and tear away, kind of like you were doing gold leaf. I don't know if realistically that's going to work or not. So that just pulled a little teeny piece of the tissue off onto the surface. And if you're thinking to yourself, why go through all this trouble for a children's book? You're probably in the wrong place. It's just the kind of thing that I like to do. Okay, we're going to try that other technique. That seemed to work a lot better, where I'm going to essentially glue over the seam, where the split is, and then I'm going to stick the paper down, wait for it to tack up, and then pull it away. That way it tears and gives me a little bit of a feathered edge. That seemed to work well towards the end of what I was doing on the other side. And now we're going to soak through on the other side to soften the fibers. Mind you, I do not know the proper technique for this, so I'm experimenting as I go. Sort of smoothing in the opposite direction as I pull it up. that side went much smoother than the first. So I can smooth out a few lumps here. So I can't have the wax paper on there because I need air to be able to get to it for it to dry. So now I'm going to go hang this somewhere so that this stays, away from these pages, and we'll hope for the best once it dries.
Well, it worked pretty well. Because of the glossy paper, like it sticks out a little extra. Didn't come out perfect. I think I'd probably rather have, this is just dirty from me rubbing it, I think. I should have been wearing gloves and stuff probably. I think it's better probably than having tape on it, just because the tape tends to look hideous. But, I don't know, it has promise. The tissue is more or less transparent, apart from the fact that it's really dirty. Obviously there's a texture difference because the tissue with the glue is not glossy like the paper, but I don't know. I think I might get some of the appropriate tissue for this for the next book rip rather than using, the experimental method. I'll look into it more. But either way, this did work. Like it's strong. Like it just feels like paper now. It doesn't feel like there was ever anything wrong with it. It's all flexible. Apart from the fact that this one section is dirty looking, and that's just because it's rough and I was rubbing my dirty workshop hands all over it. But yeah, so far so good.